Rental scams and how to protect yourself. This topic came up a few weeks ago. I had a subscriber and friend tell me how he was scammed. In fact, imagine you're renting from somebody. You've moved in. You've been there for quite some time, number of months, maybe even. The admin of the condominium comes knocking on your door and says, "You're not allowed to be here. You have 4 hours to move." This happened to him, and I'll tell you how it happened. Nothing seemed fishy about this deal. He was dealing with a licensed real estate agent, and the people at the condominium knew her rather well, it seemed. And so anyway, he rented from this person, and he paid her directly. And before I get into it, I'm gonna put a sunrise from my balcony off of Cebu City up here as I describe the rest of this. Now, I'm sure many expats, many foreigners pay agents directly. That's probably pretty common here. In this particular case, the agent apparently was depositing that directly into their private account and was telling the owner, maybe they lived overseas, I'm not sure, telling the owner that it had not been rented out. And I don't know how many other properties the person had was doing similar type of thing with, but eventually the owner came to town and checked in with the admin office and found out, well, somebody's living in your unit. Didn't you know that? And anyway, they come up and let him know that you're not allowed. You don't have a proper lease. The owners don't know anything about it. Now, I understand that a lot of agents and brokers do take payments directly because the owners oftentimes don't live in the city. They live in Manila, some other place. They live overseas, and the agent should have power of attorney, and they should be able to show you that power of attorney. I'm not sure how many of them actually do have that power of attorney legally, but worth checking out. Now, I've done a lot of research, and online you'll get a lot of information. They say always deal with a licensed professional. Well, in this case, dealing with a licensed professional, in this case a licensed scammer, did not protect this guy. Many owners use agents and brokers because they don't want to be bothered. They're busy. They're overseas, wherever. They've got their own business, their own life. They just want somebody to take care of it, including collecting the money, depositing it in their account. I don't know if the guy had a lease or not signed, but and I don't know what's happening with this. I don't know if the owners have filed charges against this particular agent or not. How can you protect yourself in this way? You might talk to the admin office of the condominium, find out any other details. You might ask a little information about the owner, but like I said, a lot of owners don't want to be bothered. They don't want you calling them, contacting them. Well, my toilet is plugged up, my water pressure is low. I want this changed. That type of thing. They don't want to be bothered, so it's a difficult type of situation. Another scam would be ghost properties, where the property doesn't even exist. They will copy and paste some good-looking property, and oftentimes list it at a very special price, and get you to try to get you to pay a deposit, and as much as they can up front. And then this happened. I follow some news in Thailand. It happened to a large family in Thailand recently. They showed up to the property, and it was a vacant lot. No such property existed, but they had already put down a huge deposit for a large family. I think several different rooms or cottages. One thing you can try to do is take a picture of that property and try to do a reverse image search on Google, or other sites and see if it is listed some other place with a different address or listed by different people, because there are some scammers that will copy and paste other listings also, and it's an actual property, but they don't have any right to be putting it online themselves, trying to collect down payments and deposits. Another way to protect yourself is ask to see the contract. If you're dealing with somebody online, they can email that contract to you, and you can check it out. Make sure if it's try to make sure if it's legit. Most scammers probably do not have a contract. It would take them time to go online and download a contract and print it out and get it sent to you. But check for any misspellings, any weird things with the contract, addresses, contact information, all that type of thing as well. Check prices of properties near that particular property. If it sounds too good to be true, there's a reason for that. What is the motivation? Are they is there construction going on? Is it a scam? That's what we're talking about. Um, Something's wrong if it's priced substantially lower than other similar properties in the same area. Are you talking to an owner, an agent, or a scammer if you're doing this online? How do you tell? You don't know. If you show up to view the property, and I suggest in most places and times you do not pay any advance payments unless you're absolutely sure. But if a person has the keys to the unit, they probably have authority to be in that unit. In the case of the case I was describing earlier, that didn't even work out. The owner or agent should know quite a bit about the area, quite a bit about the condo building, about the area right around it, where the malls, how far to the malls, how far to the hospital, which mall is it. If you've got a scammer, very possible that they won't have answers. So ask for some details and kind of drill down a little bit, see if you can get that type of information to verify that you're talking to a legitimate agent or owner. I have made 3 trips to the Philippines, and I've stayed here about 8 years, partly on tourist visas, partly on, one of the great things, you can stay on a tourist visa up to 36 months, 3 years, pretty easily, unlike so many other countries. Very easy to stay here on a tourist visa. Then you have to leave for a day, you can come back, start another 3 years. But I've stayed in 6 different condominiums over the course of 8 years, and I've had pretty good luck with people I've rented from. I see a lot of comments in different groups that you're not going to get your deposit back, just forget about that. And I've always got my deposit back. The first guy I rented from, Australian guy, he charged me 250 pesos, about $5 for his wife to come up and clean the place. I had cleaned it very well already, but you need, as an owner, you need to go in and make sure it's clean before you rent it again. I have had written leases at 4 of those 6 places, and the others were kind of just verbal, and which left a lot open. If something breaks, who's gonna repair it, pay for it, all that type of thing. But I didn't have any issues. But you could have issues. A friend of mine showed me a lease. He signed a lease for just 3 months recently, and he showed me the lease. One thing I didn't like about it, it said that he had to pay for any repairs up to 10,000 pesos. That's almost $200. And I was told a couple of years ago that 5,000 is pretty common in Manila metropolitan area. That 5,000. So I thought it pretty odd to see somebody trying to charge 10,000. That the tenant has to pay the first 10,000 in damages. If something breaks, refrigerator, air conditioning, that type of thing. I backed out of one lease. I was going to lease a place in the same building I live now several years ago. But when the guy sent me the lease, it pretty much said, if anything breaks, you need to fix it or replace it. You need to pay for that. And I said, no, 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 that's not acceptable. The refrigerator is several years old. If it quits working after I'm there a month, it's not because anything I did to it. Its time was up. I'm not going to replace that. So I backed out of that lease. Here in Cebu City, metropolitan Manila, some of the other larger cities, Davao, Iloilo City, Bacolod City. We're just pretty much coming out of our high season, the popular tourist season here. And even our tourist season still haven't recovered fully from the government lockdowns, government destruction of the economies starting in 2020. And so now a lot of the foreigners that are here are going to be going back home. We have entered our what's called summer season, the hotter months. April, May is the hottest month of the year generally. A couple degrees warmer, and when you're in the 90-degree range or 35 degrees Celsius range, a couple degrees makes a difference to humans. And a lot of people will be going back to their home country or traveling other parts of the world. The point I'm trying to make is that there's still relatively high vacancy rate, and there is competition out there. You can find deals, so just because you see a low price doesn't mean there's something wrong with the property, but it could mean that it's lacking in amenities or furnishings, that sort of thing. If somebody bought a property when the prices were low at pre-selling 8, 9, 10 years ago, they can get a lot less for rent and still make a fair return on their investment. Now, if somebody bought in the last up to 2019, 2020, and they bought at the peak of the market, well, they need to get more money for their rent to get some sort of return on investment. But there are various reasons that owners get motivated to rent and or sell, and they see the competition and they'll lower their rate. You can negotiate sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can negotiate. I know a guy told me a few years ago that he was renting a place just south of Cebu City, I think Talisay City, and the guy wanted 12,000 a month pesos a house, and he offered him 10,000. He would pay for 6 months cash right then and there at 10,000, so 60,000, no deposit, and the guy agreed to that. So he saved a lot of money, didn't have to put the deposit down. He'd already paid for 6 months. So you can negotiate. Use some creativity if that's important to you. I've looked at a few properties the last few months, and I've had agents quote ridiculously high prices for what it was. One was like a one-bedroom. I think two in particular, one-bedroom units, different condominiums, very sparsely furnished, adequate but not really high quality furnishings or much furnishings, just very, very basic furnishings. And they're asking as much or more than the people who have very well the same basic size, one bedroom, but they have furnished their units. Fully furnished means different things to different people. I mean, I've seen those other units fully furnished. Fully furnished, very well, more expensive furnishings, couches, dinner table and chairs, appliances, those sorts of things. And I explained to a couple agents different times, your commission. I understand you're trying to get a larger commission. A lot of these agents, they get 1 month on a 1-year lease. They get 1 month commission. So the higher the price, the bigger commission. I explained to them, well, 100% to zero if you don't rent it out. If you don't rent it out, your commission is zero, even though 100% of not renting it out. But they just kind of shrug. They kind of shrug. So at that point in time, it's time to go look for other properties. And just on a little bit of a side note related to property, as far as titles, if you're looking at purchasing, and foreigners basically in most instances cannot own property. There are ways that you can get around that a little bit, but not very common. It's not that difficult to adjust a title and make it look legal. So you really need to do your due diligence. Be careful there. Make sure all the taxes have been paid up, and even large corporations here. I know there's a number of cases that were part of a subdivision over on Bohol Island. They didn't finish it, a big corner of the development, because one of the salespeople told me, well, they thought it was a property dispute. They thought even this large corporation thought they had bought this property, but there's a chunk of it where somebody claims, oh no, we have title to this land because of such and such. It pays to do your due diligence, to get a hold of a good real estate lawyer to look into that type of thing. Anyway, thanks for coming along. Looking forward to your comments. Have you been scammed? Do you have other comments about looking out for scams? Take care, safe travels, and I'll see you next time.